It's Modern Horizons 3 season.
Yes.
But there's only one skeleton in Modern Horizons 3.
Yeah.
Who I figure we'll talk about
Sure,
at
of
the
course
end
we
of
will.
this.
Absolutely.
But I'd like to take this opportunity to do the coolest skeleton closet and talk about Tinybones.
Tinybones.
The skeleton closet.
So I guess the first thing, where did Tinybones come from?
Tinybones came out in Jumpstart. So the first iteration of Jumpstart had some really cool legendary creatures that we had not seen previously. One of which was Tinybones, Trinket Thief. And Tinybones is from Urborg, or lives in Urborg. It lives... I don't know if that's the right word.
Resides.
Resides. That's a much better term. Resides in Urborg.
Yeah.
And Tinybones is a thief. They're a little skeleton rogue. And it's a really cool card. It's a really mean card in Commander. You can build a really fun discard deck around it. I did for a while.
I think the thing they did with Jumpstart was, of course, they wanted it to be an on-ramp for new players, which it really succeeded at. But I think the way they tried to sell packs to enfranchise players was to include all these legends that would appeal to Commander players.
Because we had this one, we had things like Bruvac, that was the de facto, not de facto, but really strong mill piece.
Yeah.
There was a few other ones too that, definitely were designed to draw in more enfranchised players who otherwise probably would not have had a great deal of interest in the set.
Yeah.
So Tinybones is a little 1/2 legendary creature skeleton rogue for 1 and a black with some really cool abilities. At the beginning of each end step, if an opponent discarded a card this turn, which is surprisingly easy to make happen in black, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. And then there's an activated ability for 6.
Yeah.
I can read. Where each opponent with no cards in hand loses 10 life.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I've played at a table with your Tinybones once.
Yes.
But I think you're pretty reserved about rolling it out because...
Although I've been thinking about not being.
Yeah. I was going to say because you like to have friends.
I do like to have friends, but I've also built Zozu, and you still play with me, so I think I might as well bring Tinybones, right? I mean, what's stopping
I don't know
me?
if that's the right lesson, but...
Is that not the correct takeaway?
We'll find out if you go too far.
Okay. Okay. I'm just waiting for y'all to tell me that I've gone too far. But anyway, Tinybones, Trinket Thief. So we were all very delighted with this card. I think many people were quite delighted with this teensy skeleton.
I think it's definitely become a fan favorite.
Yes.
And it's no mistake that, or no coincidence that I included him in Thunder Junction in the story there, so we could get some more, because there has not been much about who he is. They had a big article that came out with Jumpstart, and I'll put on the screen here the little bio that came along with that. And it was just like, here's some background on all these legends we just introduced in Jumpstart.
Yeah, because there was no previously existing Tinybones lore. We just got excited about, oh, look at this tiny skeleton, but who are they?
Yeah. Do we want to read that out?
Sure. So, Tinybones doesn't enjoy stealing. Tinybones doesn't enjoy hurting the people of Urborg. Tinybones isn't even in it for the adrenaline. Tinybones doesn't even have an adrenal gland. No, Tinybones steals because Tinybones has a tiny family to feed, and they have a giant appetite.
I love that.
And there's actually a card which shows who I think is meant to be Tinybones' tiny family on Pilfer.
Yeah.
Celebrating with a treasure trove of loot that I presume has been stolen. So we've got some pals here that you can see Tinybones celebrating with.
Well, it says to the merchant it was nothing more. So I think my impression was this big bulbous critter on the left was the merchant. And like the little skeleton mouse, skeletal horse, whatever that is maybe part of Tinybones' family.
Is okay, yeah. I think the first time I saw this, I assumed that the whole thing was the family, because you've got
that would be cool too.
The tiny horse skeleton mouse, the large bulbous creature, and then there's this other thing with like 6 legs in the forefront.
Oh,
which I don't know what that is, but
Honest, I mean, that looks kind of like a stuffed animal.
It kind of does.
I don't know.
It kind of looks like a plushie, but
But it also looks like a tardigrade?
It could also be a tardigrade with some spikes and like a shark's mouth.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that is part of the family because look at Tinybones like gesture and everything. Tinybones look like
yeah, like
celebrating.
this looks like a celebration. Everyone's hands are up, like oh wow, look at this. Look at it was the Feylaver text says that to the merchant it was nothing more than a few trinkets. To Tinybones it was the greatest heist of all time. So.
But I know I wish I could remember.
Yeah.
And this is the thing I might not be able to quickly search up is whoever this other critter is, they show up on another card.
They are. There is something that looks very similar to them on, I think it's Urborg Scavengers.
Okay.
If we pulled them up. And they are also, obviously, denizens of Urborg.
Yeah, we should,
what is Urborg? Yeah, let's go back to that. Where are they?
Scavengers,
yeah,
you're right.
There they are.
Oh, okay, so it totally makes sense. This could be part of the adopted family. But later it says something about... Oh, it says spirit. Well, I saw somewhere, and I think we'll get to it, where more recently they've asserted Tinybones' family is all undead.
Okay.
And that... I was thinking this isn't an undead creature. It looks like just something else. But if Urborg Scavengers is a spirit, then maybe so.
I mean, I think that's undead adjacent.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough. And there's a certain romanticism in not knowing.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's better not to know. We can tell our own stories to ourselves when it isn't spelled out.
But yeah, let's back up and talk about Urborg, because this is where they chose Tinybones to be from. And it's got history all the way back to Legends.
It sure does.
Urborg.
A legendary land, which I just bought one of these recently because it seemed... It just seemed wrong for me to not own one.
I agree.
You know?
And I'm trying to find my map here. I have a map of Dominaria.
Oh, wonderful.
Somewhere.
All right, so here is our map of Dominaria, and Urborg is located...
It's near Jamura. It's just... Here it is. It's just north of Jamura.
There we go.
And I was going to say, I have complained before that for the first X years, they set so many of the sets, like the magic sets kept being set in Dominaria, despite being in a multiverse. Like, why do that? Why not explore all these other planes? But the fact that they did so many stories in Dominaria means a world map of Dominaria actually is just full of stuff. It doesn't feel very one note. Like a map of Amonkhet, there's one city on Amonkhet. That's where everything is. And most planes we go to, also like New Capenna, also an isolated, it's just one city.
Like everything's happening here.
Yeah. But even Ravnica, we go back and we kind of encounter the same people in the same places kind of over and over. But Dominaria has had all these stories over thousands of years take place that we've gotten to experience, and we've seen land masses come and go and change and all this stuff. So the map of Dominaria is huge and interesting. And yeah, Urborg it showed up a lot also in Mirage, which was set on the continent of Jamura. Right. And so that's when you got all the Panthers, I think, showed up for the first time, and the Spirit of the Night and the Breath Stealers and all that.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then we've had a lot of sets that reference Urborg, and and I think now it's the home of the Cabal.
Yes.
Which was the Otarian Cabal, which is on a different part.
Yeah, way over here.
But very recently, either in the past 60 or the past 5 years, whatever it is, they moved over here, and I think Braids is in charge of it now. But Urborg has always been associated with black mana stuff. Yeah. It's all swampy.
Very much a black mana intensive location.
Which is kind of funny, because that very first Urborg card, despite making black mana, it does not look swampy.
It sure doesn't. It looks more like Mordor.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Oh, that's really what they were...
Yeah.
That feels very much like a
this
minus
this is definitely...
kind of
this is a location in Mordor. But for our purposes, it is a legendary land, which makes a black. Yep. Cool. But then it also gives target creature, or it takes away First Strike or Swamp Walk until end of turn.
Maybe the vibe there is that, you have all these Swamp Walk creatures. They assume they're going to be able to get to their target in Urborg, but you're on the... You got to cross the mode of fire to get to this place. So Swamp Walk doesn't work after all.
You're not doing anything in Magma World.
Yeah.
But I really like this card. I think it's fun.
Yeah. And then the Volroth Stronghold, the Stronghold materializes or overlays in that exact same place as that in the volcano. And I guess Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth.
That's probably the location that's the first place that is the first time that I consciously remember hearing about Urborg.
Yeah.
Was that card.
And that's a little bit funny because as I understand the story, which has been a very long time since I read, but I just refreshed on it earlier this morning, but Yawgmoth died from a state of being a giant toxic cloud with tentacles in the sky.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what it means for his tomb to be in one particular place, because he just kind of got defeated on Dominaria, around Dominaria. But
yeah, I'm not entirely sure, because the flavor text says that Yawgmoth's corpse is a wound in the universe. But that implies that there's a body or some kind of remains, and during that battle, he had turned into a, like, poisonous death cloud. Right. And so I don't know what's left at that point after...
the last portal back to, I presume, Phyrexia rather than Wrath, but the last open portal during that invasion was apparently right in the middle of Urborg. So maybe that's...
and then that's what that looks... In this picture, at least,
it is a portal,
that looks like one of the portal ships.
Okay, that's it then. Well, I mean, still doesn't totally explain it, but it's the last place that was connected to Phyrexia, and then when, I guess, he dies, it gets shut off, but it's kind of... That's... his foul blood seeps out, so I guess it's from where the portal was. Okay. But Urborg definitely still... Well, this card, Urborg, making all the lands swamps, definitely very much the feel of Urborg. So, when many years later they released Tinybones as a denizen of Urborg, that's like, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, I don't think anybody questioned that. We were all very willing to accept that.
Yeah, and it even actually just gives flavor.
Yeah.
Like, he's in a really hyper-individualistic, everyone's killing each other for fun and profit kind of environment. That's
so like in that environment, a trinket thief is probably like,
yeah, that's like an upstanding citizen.
Yeah, Tinybones is like, he's the mayor.
Yeah, and he doesn't even enjoy hurting people.
He doesn't even like it.
Like, he's one of the
best.
he's
not in it for the adrenaline.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Tinybones is just out here committing tiny little misdemeanors in an otherwise just dialed up to 11 hyper individualistic mono black society.
Right.
And then there's this really cool secret lair.
Yeah, and I think that's the next time we got exposed to any Tinybones. I don't want to misquote, but I'm trying to find the date here. Oh, maybe it's only a year ago. Arrived 9 months ago, so it came out last year.
Oh, wow.
All right, so yeah, more recently than I thought. The Bad to the Bones secret lair came out clearly in late...
I absolutely love the flavor text on the secret lair iteration of Tinybones about how Tinybones doesn't have a motorcycle, but...
Yeah, I love every single card in this set. And I don't think they anywhere 100% explicitly said this is a Tinybone secret lair, but it's Bad to the Bones, plural, and it's Tiny Bones. And it just... And everything... All the cards in the set play really well with Tinybones, so it very much feels like... I don't think it was even supposed to be that subtle, but I also don't want to misrepresent it and say that it is the Tinybone secret lair when it's just...
Yeah, because only one of the skeletons shown matches the way Tinybones is depicted with the little cloak, with the one that's on the Tinybones card.
Right.
But we've also got another motorized skeleton on Reassembling Skeleton, one of my favorite cards.
Let me try and get that.
Another skeleton on a motorcycle, but it's not the same as the Tinybones showed on the little scooter. Like, this is a different obviously a different skeleton. And then there's the Bottomless Pit, which
and those two could be the same.
Yeah, those could be I would buy that those are the same skeletons. And then we've also got Necrogen Mists, which features a skeleton driving a truck.
Yep.
And Gyre Reach Sanitarium, where I don't see the same truck, but we do see a warehouse or garage with a motorcycle parked outside.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
And some tentacle nonsense happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a is that a figure?
It looks like there's something spooky by the car, but I don't know what it is. I can't make out what it is.
In any case, it's all discard.
Yeah, it's all stuff that goes with that. So like, if you're gonna buy this for the Tinybones card, which you probably are, all of these cards slot into that deck.
And of course, I'm interested, particularly in Tinybones, as part of a skeleton-themed deck.
Yes.
And there are a number of the skeletons which do the current skeleton thing of returning from the graveyard rather than regenerating have come out pretty recently. So probably only like 6 of them, maybe 7 at the time Tinybones came out. But they've continued to flesh that out. But I imagine in designing this, in designing Tinybones, they thought we could make this to either play well with other skeletons or just be a discard-themed commander, and people could go either way, which works out pretty well. And so they include reassembling skeleton, which, hey, you pitch this to Tinybones or any of the many discard effects you have going along with Tinybones, then you can just recur it. Great, huh? So it's kind of a gentle nudge to us, the players, that this is what you can do with skeletons. And yes, I want to do that now. Yes. I deeply regret not having bought this secret lair.
So do I. So do I.
So if anyone wants to just, gift us...
If somebody wants to do that, that would be amazing.
That'd be a good gift.
That would be wonderful. Your birthday's coming up in a few months.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
So then I think that's pretty much all we've gotten until the Outlaws.
Yeah, prior to that, that's pretty much all the Tinybones we had gotten from Wizards. And then Outlaws of Thunder Junction comes out, and hey, Tinybones is back.
Yeah. And once again, they gave us an article on the Mothership that gave some background information on Tinybones, which fleshed things out just a little bit. Do you want to read this one too?
Yeah. So, Chittering Skeleton and Resident Little Guy, Tinybones hails from the Urborg region of Dominaria. Unlife isn't easy in Urborg, so Tinybones banded together with some other ghoulies to form an ersatz family. To support his family, Tinybones turned to a life of crime. He probably would have turned to a life of crime anyway, but he was grateful to have an excuse. Infamous for his thieving skills, word of his exploits reached even Oko's ears, who realized this little guy could have a big impact on his schemes.
Yeah. So I guess this is where I was thinking of them saying that Tinybones' family is all undead. It just says they're ghoulies, and it's a little bit ambiguous.
It is a bit.
Yeah, so that's Tinybones' bio.
Yes, as of Thunder Junction.
Yep. And pretty similar to what was there for Jumpstart. But the other thing we got was actual story quotes and everything. So we got to see Tinybones run around.
Yes.
We got to find out that Tinybones does not speak normal person language. Like almost... everyone has a universal translator in the Magic universe. Like, that's rarely... They rarely deal with people speak different languages and can't understand it.
Yeah, like, oh no, we can't talk to this person.
It comes up occasionally. They reference it in Geese and Geralf's story to the cemeteries in this set.
Yeah, it's not a common problem, though.
Yeah, it's just... We brush that aside because it's a lot more fun to just pay attention to the other stuff and not worry about that.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of quotes that I thought were particularly amusing. Well, there's at least one quote I thought particularly amusing. I think it's the 6th story. This thing is awful. There we go. Oh, yeah.
I remember this one.
I was reading through the short stories as they were released.
Yes.
You had not started them. I was like, just snipped this quote and sent it to you.
Yes.
The brave and jovial skeleton volunteers.
I love this so much.
Oh yeah, and it even references his language there. Tinybones leapt up, chattering away in his language that sounded mostly like clicks and growls.
Yeah, I love that, and I love that it says his language, not... So it kind of leaves it open to, is this a Tinybones specific language, or is this what skeletons sound like?
Is this just like Tinybones expressing himself in kind of a musical style? These are the noises I make, or is he actually speaking words?
Or like maybe this is a little like Tinybones language. Yeah. Like it's not, because I read that initially and was like, oh, that's what skeletons sound like, and then I thought later, like, what if it's not? What if that's not a skeleton language? What if that's just how Tinybones talks?
Or it could just be an Urborg thing.
Or it could be an Urborg thing.
Or it could be like a secret code that he and the round spirit friend developed.
Him and his ersatz family, like maybe they invented this language.
What does ersatz mean?
I can't remember. I used to know because it was part of the title of one of the series of unfortunate events, and I looked it up when I was reading those, and then I forgot.
Here we go. Made or used as a substitute, typically an inferior one. Oh no. Well, we don't like that.
I don't like that.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, We'll ignore the inferior part.
Tinybones and his found family of wonderful, supportive friends.
That's a bad dictionary.
Yeah. I don't care for that at all. But anyway, yes. Beautiful quote about what Tinybones sounds like, and Rakdos is the one who translates for him, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, Rakdos just knows. Now, I gotta be real, though. I might have said this before on a video that I was delighted while reading these quotes enough to just send you that one immediately. And they are funny. But having finished the stories and everything, I take Rakdos considerably less seriously now. Like before, in Ravnica stories, we talk about Rakdos. I'm thinking of this seriously terrifying beast. Like, this is... It feels like the difference between watching a horror movie in a theater and being actually scared and like, and then like watching a buddy comedy at home. Yeah. Like now the dialogue, it's just Rakdos is kind of a comedic.
I can't remember why I said it, and I might have said it in one of our other videos, but I do remember at one point we were talking about this, and I decided that Rakdos is just a demon in a cowboy hat, and when you put a cowboy hat on him, he's a lot less intimidating.
I don't know. Some of the Thunder Junction art was pretty intimidating despite the cowboy
Well, like in the story, that part of it kind of lends to the the buddy cop vibe that we have not previously experienced.
But we should actually explain.
Yes.
I should explain my position here, which is that later on, Rakdos is saying, "I've sworn never to be ridden again. Let it be known this is the last time." As Tinybones gets up and sits between his horns, and then he ferries a bunch of people off of the Fomori vault before it plummets.
I also enjoy that they put Rakdos, his dialogue is in all caps.
Yeah, that's effective.
That's a choice, and I like that.
Yeah, I do too. So, though my awe at Rakdos is a little bit diminished, my love for Tinybones is tremendously grown following the Thunder Junction stories.
Yes, 100%.
I don't know how much they will use Tinybones going forward, but they've certainly said absolutely could.
Yeah, I really hope we see more Tinybones, because I love them, and I want to see lots of him.
Yeah. Agreed. Signed.
Yeah.
Well, would you like to talk about Emperor of Bones a little bit?
Yes. So, Emperor of Bones. This is our Modern Horizons 3 skeleton. Very cool art.
Yeah.
2-drop, 1 in a black, 2/2 skeleton noble. It's an interesting creature type. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, you exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. He has Adapt 2, and whenever 1 or more +1 counters are put on Emperor of Bones, put a creature card exiled with him onto the battlefield under your control with a finality counter on it. And it gains haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step.
Yeah. And that feels like a real common black and sometimes red effect. Just raise dead something for a turn and then you lose it. But you don't have to pay much to do it. It's just happening kind of instantly.
Yeah. This guy looks like he is fresh out of Skyrim.
Oh yeah, very Draugr.
Yeah.
You think that's the color mainly?
I think it might be, because it looks like he is in a snowy environment.
That's true. Well... You know what? I guess I interpret that as just dungeony, but it is so light. Maybe it could go either. Well, I guess there's these particles kind of around it that give that sense too. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't notice like green necrotic energy like picking up the skull over to the left here. That's extra cool.
Yeah, I like that. Very neat.
Yeah, it's
I like his armor too. How it looks like it's bits of other skeletons. Yeah. It's a nice touch.
I'm not sure what to think of this as a card, because I'm mostly interested in standard or commander. And this doesn't really fit in. I mean, you literally can't play it in standard. It's a modern legal only card. And you can't play like typal decks in modern for the most part. I mean, there is an elf deck, but like you can't just pick a creature type that you like and
force it.
Force it. Like,
I have witnessed firsthand someone else doing that and it going very badly.
Yeah, I've tried it. It did not work. I even tried playing a budget zombie deck that...
I think I tried one of those too.
That Saffron Olive
had I did that exact same thing. Yes. It didn't go great for me.
And I'm sure it was better than just some random junk I had put together myself, but it was still
But it was not good. No.
At a modern... Friday Night Magic or something like that.
Absolutely not.
But then, as a commander card, this just doesn't fit into the skeleton theme, really. It's just kind of a different thing.
It feels kind of underwhelming for commander. Like, I don't know, just...
It just doesn't... It might be solid in commander, but it doesn't fit in the skeleton typal deck.
Yeah, like...
I wanna...
Like, when I first saw this, just looking at the title, the picture... and the type, I think I was hoping for another Skeleton Lord kind of effect.
Yes, exactly.
And then when I read it, it was kind of like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
But, alright, not really what I wanted.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like, this is cool, I guess, but it's just not really for me.
Yeah, like, I don't think I really have a deck that would play this.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, maybe someday I will.
Yeah, it doesn't fit into a Tinybones discard theme, and it doesn't fit into, like, a sack theme or graveyard recursion, because it's pulling stuff out of the graveyard. I mean, it can pull stuff out of your opponent's graveyard,
True.
Right? So, and that's what it can do, but even if it's kind of doing good work, it's still not on brand. And the way I play Commander is everything has to be absurdly on brand.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm making a Commander deck out of a pool of like 40,000 cards or however many there are now, I'm not playing the best things.
No.
I'm not playing the most powerful things. I'm playing the most on brand things. I want to do the ladies looking left kind of decks.
Yeah, that's my whole goal. Like, that's the entire... I'm just like, we are going to hand curate every single land in this deck. We are going to hunt through all the cards that feature this in the flavor text. Yeah. We're going to do the, like, barefoot creatures and shoes to put on them. Like, that is the vibe I bring to the function, okay? Like, we're not doing things because they're objectively good.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
So, yeah, slim pickings in this set, but hopefully, I don't know. I don't really expect a lot of skeletons in Bloomburrow, so...
Yeah, I doubt we'll see... I mean, I don't know, maybe we'll see some animal skeletons.
Yeah, it would just be a critter skeleton, like, I will take a rat skeleton,
I don't think it's out of the
skeleton.
Question, but I don't anticipate seeing a lot of skeletons.
Yeah, that's fair. And you know what? If that happens, maybe we'll just find another skeleton topic, do another skeleton closet during that cycle, and then after that, what is a Duskmourn?
Oh,
I feel like there will be skeletons.
I think there will be skeletons. I would be shocked if there are not skeletons in Duskmourn.
They might not be good. They might not be a big theme, but I bet there will be some.
I will be very disappointed, actually, if we don't get skeletons there.
All right. Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much all the thoughts I had for today.
Yeah, I'm still... I was actually telling my dad about my theory that, is Tinybones a child? Yeah. What is Tinybones? What kind of skeleton is Tinybones?
Uh-huh. We aren't meant to know.
I don't think we are.
Or it's meant to be a big fun reveal later.
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe that's it.
All right. Well, I guess next week we'll probably be back on the Bloomburrow train.
Yeah.
I know, like, it's Modern Horizon season still, but no, we are getting into Bloomburrow hype. It's coming.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that.